Hey everyone, my name's Dom, welcome back to the channel. For today's video I'm going to give a quick rundown of my 2022 read-in plan, so stick around to hear what I've got in store. So 2022 is just around the corner, and although I'm not someone who generally tends to have a very advanced plan in terms of my reading goals, I thought it would be a good idea to have a look at some of the titles, some of the series, some of the overall goals that I do have for 2022. But before we do that, I wanted to just take a quick moment to say a massive heartfelt thank you to everyone who supported me and supported the channel and helped it to grow over these past few months. A few days ago I was really surprised to have hit 500 subscribers. That's not something that I ever really expected to do. I didn't set out to create this channel and get as many subscribers as possible. I just wanted to give back to the community and talk about my favourite books, and I've had an absolute blast. So it's just incredible to see the number of people who are interacting with the channel, the number of friends I've made around the channel and talked to on Discord. It's just been absolutely amazing, and I'm really looking forward to more of the same in 2022. So with that said, I was talking to a few people and I said I would do what is a bit of a tradition in these circles, and that is a bit of a celebratory video. Two that generally come up and I couldn't make my mind up which I thought would be less painful or which I would most like to do, so I decided I'd do them both. And at some point over the Christmas and New Year period I will film both a Q&A video and also an assumptions about me video. So if you've got any questions that you're just dying to ask, or if you've got any assumptions about me and you want to find out if they're right, drop them down in the comments below. Find me on Discord or on the Wizardly Duo Discord. We've got a Q&A channel where you can put in your questions and assumptions there, and I'll pick them up from there, put them all together, and I'll record a video at some point over the next couple of weeks and give you a load of answers. So that'll be fun to see anyway. I've already got a few questions and assumptions that have been submitted, and we'll see how many we get in total and go from there. With that out of the way though, let's have a look at what I've got in store for 2022. So as I say, because I'm a mood reader, I don't generally tend to have much of a plan, especially not one that covers, say, a whole year. But I do have a few things that I want to kind of tick off a list, a few little mini plans, if you like, that I want to be doing. So I've broken these up into a few different sections with titles that will allow me to finish off a series, series to be continued, new releases that are coming up for 2022, and then clearing some books off my physical TBR. So let's have a look. So starting off with the series that I want to be finishing at some point this year, I'm not going to put a time frame on these, and especially if I've got more than one book to read in a series, I will generally space them out a little bit. I don't, as a general rule, tend to binge a series. I do tend to have at least a couple of books in between them, but it depends on circumstance. So the first one that I've got is the Lacanius trilogy by James Islington. I read The Shadow of What Was Lost in June. I read book 2, An Echo of Things to Come, a couple of months ago. So I've just got one more book in this series, which is The Light of All That Falls. So I'm looking forward to this because I've really enjoyed the series, and it's always nice to tick off the last book of a series and to have it completed. So that one will be one of the early kind of quick wins, at least in this particular category. Next up for series to be finished is The Farseer by Robin Hobbs. So I have got Royal Assassin up next, and then we'll be following that with Assassin's Quest. So these books do get bigger as they go through the series. That's my marker. That's how I remember which one is next up. Assassin's Apprentice being the smallest of the three in this trilogy, but again, although I'm only one book in, I did quite enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to getting back to Robin Hobb, especially because everyone always talks about how excellent these books are, the overall realm of the Elderling series, and there's plenty more of them for me to go overall. And then the third series that I've got down to be finished off is, I don't know if it's an official title, but The Great Leveller, the standalones in the First Law world by Joe Abercrombie. So I've got Red Country and The Heroes, and it's quite nice to have all of these in physical form. I do have I think most of these titles on my Kindle as well, so it's nice to be able to have that option to flip back and forth between a physical copy and a digital copy depending on my circumstances. On to my series continuation, so these are ones that are not finished yet or that have quite a bit to go, so I'm not going to be looking to finish them in 2022. First of those is Devin Madsen's Reborn Empire. I really enjoyed We Ride the Storm, and I've got We Lie with Death next up, I believe. There's 2 more titles released at the moment, and then there's a book 4 coming out in December 2022, so by the time that comes along, I aim to be ready for it, having completed the 3 books that have been released so far. We then have one of my kind of carryover titles. I've been saying for much of 2021 that I want to get this one kind of continued with, and I haven't touched it, so I'm going to make a bit more of a concerted effort to pick up these guys and continue on with the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. So I read Way of Kings quite a while ago now. I'm going to need a heck of a refresher on that particular book before I pick up Words of Radiance and continue on with this epic. Apparently he's going to start writing book 5 kind of imminently, so it's going to be a little while to go, obviously, until that sees pages in readers' hands, but I've got another 3 books to get me through until then anyway, so that's going to take me a fair while, especially because these are quite chunky, which is pretty much why they've been split into 2 for the UK paperback market. And then the third series that I'm aiming to work on in this respect is The Expanse by the duo making up the pen name James S.A. Corey. This I started again a couple of years ago. I think it was January 2019 that I read Leviathan Wakes. I did enjoy it. I had prior to that seen a few seasons of a TV show. I'm watching season 6 at the moment and really enjoying it, and I want to get into the books and see if I enjoy them as much. Okay, so the next section that I want to take a look at is some new releases, which are all going to be continuation of series as well. A couple of them will also meet the first category of finishing a series, so there's a few tick boxes going on there. And I'm going to look at these as far as I'm able to, at least in rough release order. So the first of these is Empire of Shadows, which is book 3, the final book in the Kreidic sagas by Alicia Wanstall Burke. I'm reading book 2, Legacy of Ghosts, at the moment, and should be finished as of the time of filming. I'll either finish it today or tomorrow. So this one's released towards the end of January, and that gives me a little bit of time to read another book or 2 that I've got planned for December before picking up my review copy of this title and reading it in plenty of time to have a review to go along with the release of the book. Next up in April, we've got The Hunger of the Gods, which is the new title by John Gwynne, book 2 in the Bloodsworn. So I did enjoy Shadow of the Gods. It wasn't perfect. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as a lot of people did, but I generally find that the opening book in a series will have a little bit to work on because there's all the setup going on there, and this was a massive departure from the John Gwynne writing that I'm used to, so maybe it was natural that it would take me a little while to gel with it, but I'm really looking forward to this second title. With the way that The Shadow of the Gods finished, I'm really excited to see what our main characters do next and where the story takes them. Then at some point in the summer, or at least expected around then, we've got book 3 in The Bound and the Broken. So this is Of War and Ruin. This is a title that I'm really looking forward to. I won't go into it too much because I feel sometimes like I'm just a Ryan Cahill cheerleader, but this one I'm really looking forward to. It's already one of my most anticipated releases of the year. I love the cover of this one actually. I do think they're quite simple covers, quite understated, but I think this is one of my favourites in the series so far. Then in August we've got another title which marks the end of a series. This is Threadlight book 3, Bonds of Chaos by Zach Argyle. So again, another title that I'm really looking forward to. I've loved this series. I'm pretty confident that it's going to find its way onto my overall top 10 series list, so that's really high praise for Zach Argyle's writing. If you haven't read Threadlight, it's another example. I've already given 2 in this new releases section, but it's another example of a really great fantasy self-pub title. And then finally in the new releases, it's another self-pub title, but this one's maybe a little bit less definite because The dates are not set. So Daniel T. Jackson's Illborn Saga, I don't know what the title of book 2 is going to be yet. We're going to have a release of a title apparently at some point in Q1 of 2022, but this book is intended to be released towards the very end of the year, but because we're kind of in the early stages and because we've got quite a way to go for that, it's not definite yet, I guess. But whenever it does come out, I will definitely be getting my hands on it as soon as I can, because I really enjoyed book 1 in the series, and it's another title that I'll really recommend you to pick up if you haven't already done so. And then the final little section I've got for myself is some books that are on my physical TBR. And some of these have been on there for quite a while, but at the same time, I'm still really excited to read them. It's just been a case of not having the opportunity yet to get around to them. Something else always ends up coming in the way. So I'm going to put a bit of priority on some of these, especially because I've been saying that I'm going to be reading them for quite some time. So the first one of those is Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer, and there's book 2 of this one I believe is also slated for 2022, so if I get on well with this, maybe book 2 will find its way into my reading plans for the year as well. But this is a gorgeous looking book. It's been on my shelf for 6 months now, and I've also got a copy on my Kindle, and it's high time that I got to read in this one. So that was a birthday present to myself back at the end of June. A few other birthday presents that I got. We've got The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker, and this one I've kind of put myself a bit of priority by setting up a buddy read with my good friend Nina. So we're going to be reading this in February, and if we enjoyed enough, we've got another 2 series in this now finished trilogy to carry on with if we want to. I've then got The Wolf of Oronjaro by K.S. Veloso, and like with The Bone Ships, I did read the first chapter of this title in my first chapter reads video. I'll put a link up in the corner. So this one, I've already got a bit of an idea about it. It does still sound like one that I'm going to enjoy, and I'll find out as soon as I can in the new year. I've then got The Black Coast by Mike Brooks, which is another title that I've been looking forward to for a while, but just haven't got round to reading yet. So this one I'm going to be picking up soon. I do like a nice story with some dragons in it, and that's what I'm going to find here from what I've heard, so I'm looking forward to this one. And then another one, which is one of my more recent acquisitions, is The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. This one I've heard some really great reviews from reviewers who I trust the opinions of. So I'm really looking forward to this one and finding out whether I enjoy it as much as they did. Okay, so there's a very brief look at my not very well planned out 2022 reading plans. As I say, being a mood reader, it is difficult to plan so far in advance or to plan in any great detail. And there are also some things that I've already got planned in as well, which are review copies and author copies, which I give some priority to as well. So there'll be some of those coming along towards the start of the year, and then more scattered throughout the year as and when they arrive. Now, one other thing that I was originally planning to do, I recently did a 22 fantasy series recommendations video for 2022, which has been really well received, and I'm really enjoying going through the comments on that video and talking about those recommendations. I did also plan to do kind of a version of that video for myself with 22 titles that I want to read, or 22 opening books in a series, and we've seen some of those in this video already today. But when I was making my list, it got up into the 30s, and I was having a bit of trouble kind of narrowing it down to just 22 that I really want to highlight. So plenty of other series that I want to be getting my teeth into this year, and we'll see how I go and see how many of those I can actually open the first book of. That's me for today though, so let me know in the comments down below what you think of any of these series or books that you've read and whether you think I'm going to enjoy them. Also let me know what your plans are, what you're looking forward to reading the most, and what new releases you're most anticipating for 2022. I hope you have yourselves a good Christmas and a good holiday period, however you celebrate it. This isn't my last video of the year, but I look forward to seeing all of you again in 2022. So as usual, to finish off with, do the like and subscribe in business if you haven't already done so. Take care of yourselves, read some good books, and I'll see you next time. Bye.